in the kindest, most loving, non-judgmental way as well. Just pour life into me and lead me back to the woman that God's called me to be. Hello everyone, Belinda here, your host, and welcome back to another episode of Rooted, the story behind A Rose in Bloom, where we kind of just give you a behind the scenes look of the heart and vision for A Rose in Bloom beyond the podcast. Today, I'm going to be speaking a little bit about one of our core pillars, which is mentorship, and we're going to be looking into the beauty and the power of what happens when godly women get together to mentor each other. So, let's get into it. So I really do believe that mentorship, especially in the kingdom, is so important because of what God has done in my life through mentorship. And it even leaves way for discipleship, but I'll talk about that a little later. I think when I think of mentorship, I think of the godly women in my life who have mentored me, inspired me, and honestly walked alongside me to become the woman that I am today. And the first person that comes to mind is Theo. So she was actually our first guest of A Rose in Bloom, ever, 2 years ago. And she talked about what it looked like to be a daughter, because we had similar stories. But my story or journey with Theo starts back to when I was 13 or 14. She was very new to our youth group. And at that point in time, she had to be 20, 21, which is still crazy to me because she had so much wisdom and insight to pour into me. And if you don't know who I used to be per se, I wasn't outside, in the streets. I was raised in the church, but I had a lot of mentalities and things that were definitely running me straight to hell. Okay. And luckily, by God's grace, Theo had such a heart for me. And to this day, I'm really God, thank you so much for gracing her for me because, I used to be cutting up, especially when it comes to these little boys, but she still had so much grace for me and walked alongside with me. I remember there were moments where I was calling her up when I was at college in the middle of the night, 1 a.m., bawling because this boy did me dirty or something else. And she just, in the kindest, most loving, non-judgmental way as well, just pour life into me and lead me back to the woman that God's called me to be, leading me back to the direction that I know that I needed to walk to, and that aspect of not being judgmental was very important to me and still is, because I think we can have a tendency to not empathize with the women that are around us, and especially younger women. And I speak from experience where the Lord has just recently brought back a heart for younger women in my heart and my life. And that was because there was a time where I felt like I can't empathize with the craziness y'all are doing. But the reality is I used to be doing what y'all was doing and worse, right? And the Lord kind of just had to take out that pride and was girl, I'm calling you to walk hand in hand with these young women that you see yourself in so that they can be better for my kingdom and them growing as the women that God's called them to be. And I think, again, back to Theo and her diligently walking with me through so many different seasons. And again, being so open and honest about what she was going through and helping me in that sense. And truly, shout out to Theo. I would not be the woman that I am today without her and her mentorship and her influence. And she too was also going through so much, but still had such a heart for me. And so when I think of A Rose in Bloom and what the Lord showed me when he gave me that vision in 2017, I actually had a vision of an older woman looking over a younger woman, and they were sitting at a table, but I could tell that there was a relationship there in where there was mentorship. And I was yeah, God, I don't know how this is going to look like, especially back then at my tender age of 17, 18. But I know that this is what you've called me to do. And I'm just so blessed to be in a space where that can be a core pillar of who we are. And also we see mentorship in the church and how we have been called to move and disciple each other. And so it's just a core pillar of mine. And I look forward to finally introducing that into all the things that we do with the Rose and Bloom. And it's not just the spiritual aspect as well that I'm looking at. That is very important, but I look forward to women mentoring each other in the creative space, in the entrepreneurial space, in the business space, because we as believers are called to so many different spaces. It's not just church ministry, right? I truly believe we're also called to minister in our own ways in the spaces that God's called us to be in. Whether it's in the marketplace or in the church and other things like that. And so I look forward to broadening, English, you know what? Opening up the space, okay, of what it looks like to be a godly mentor, because it doesn't just have to be in the church, right? It can be in whatever space that you are called to, and showing other women it doesn't have to look like what the world is doing. You can still do this in a godly way and honor the Lord with your fruits and the giftings that he's given you. And I will walk alongside you as I show you what that could look like, right? And so I'm super excited for all that's to come with our mentorship and making that a foundation and a pillar, like I said, it will be. And so the goal of all of that is just for women of all ages to come together and do life together, walk in community, be real and authentic with the things that they're going through, and making sure the next woman behind them or beside them has community and can do the things that they need to do, even surpassing what the older women have been through and things of that nature. So yeah, that's it for the pillar of mentorship. Again, so excited for what God's going to do in and throughout our mentorship when we finally open that. And honestly, those mentorship opportunities are coming very soon. And so, like I said, we'd love for you to join us if you are feeling like being a mentor or being mentored, because both are so important and necessary to our walk. So if you're feeling like you want to be mentored, or you're ready to pour out into women and be a mentor yourself, or being a mentor, or if you're ready and willing to be menteed, feel free to visit us on our website and fill out the form, and we will get back to you. And if you don't want to go to the website, reach out to us on our DMs or Instagram or YouTube, all the things. We will get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you so much for spending time with me today and hearing about the pillar that is mentorship that makes a rose and bloom. Like I said earlier, if you are wanting to be a mentee or ready to pour out into women and be a mentor, fill out the interest form on our website or hit us up on our social medias and we will get back to you. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I look forward to speaking to you all next time about all the other pillars that we have coming for a rose and bloom. Until next time, continue blooming into the roses God's called you to be. You're listening to a Rose and Bloom podcast, a production of A Rose and Bloom, where women's stories bloom in Christ. Thanks for watching. See you next time.